welcome back for part 2 of chapter 1 section 5, which involves equations of proportional relationships. The first thing we're going to start off with is talking about JC, who bought 8 gallons of gas for $31.12. And they wants us to write an equation relating the total cost y. So my cost of the 31.12 is going to be my y value to the number of gallons of gas x in the proportional relationship. What do we need to find before we can write that equation? We need to find the constant of proportionality. We need to find out how much 1 gallon of gas costs, and that's our goal here. So find the constant of proportionality first. Now we've got it set up where I don't know that I really like the way they did this one. I'm going to show you theirs, and then I'm going to show you mine because mine is better. And we're moving towards algebraic thoughts, and I think you're going to like mine better. They took and set up where they had total cost over number of gallons was equal to 31.12 divided by 8, and boom, they gave you 3.89 is over 1. Where did this come from? Let's take and find out. We're going to start off with a clean slate here. And on that clean slate, I'm going to write the direct variation equation. Y is equal to, whoops, wrong letter. Whoop. Y is equal to kx. Okay. Now, my y value, the total cost was $31.12. My k value is what we're looking for. And the x value was 8 gallons of gas. Now, we still need to isolate that variable. And remember, what's the final goal of an equation? Isolate the variable. What variable? The k. Who's k's friend? It's 8. And what is 8 doing to k? It's multiplying. How am I going to do times 8? What's the inverse operation times 8? It is divided by 8 on both sides. Of course, right here I have 8 divided by 8 is 1. 1 times k is k. And when we do divide the 31.12 by 8, we get the $3.89 that they gave us in the answer, okay? This is showing your work. That is what I must see for these. It's time we start moving towards some big kid math. You can't just take and go, boom, there's the answer, and not have anything to connect it. This is what I expect to see, okay? So, with that said, we're going to go back over here. The constant of proportionality will be 3.89, and we're going to check our answer. That answer checked correctly. Now, we're going to take and select each card and see the steps for writing an equation. In words, our very first step, acknowledge the fact that the total cost was $3.89 multiplied by the number of gallons. Now, our variables, we know that y is going to equal to the cost and that x is going to equal to the number of gallons. And from there, the equation we're going to have is y is equal to 3.89 times x. Now, if we were to go back to what we had over here, going back to that direct variation equation, y is equal to kx. What did we determine that x was equal to right there? 3.89. Therefore, I can say y is equal to $3.89 times x, and that is exactly what they came up with right here. That is answering the final part of this problem, where it wanted us to write an equation relating the cost of y to the number of gallons x. So we're going to take right there 3.89, check our answer. Our answer checks well. How can you use the equation y is equal to 3.89x to determine the cost of 15 gallons? Well, let's take a look at it. So what we can do is we can take that equation that we were given, y is equal to 3.89 times x. You see it's right there. And what does x represent? The number of gallons. So that means we're multiplying 3.89 times 15. Now, it didn't ask us to solve it. It asked, how can you use the equation 3.89x to determine the cost of 15 gallons? The answer to that is plug 15 in for x and multiply it, and it'll tell you how much 15 gallons costs. But we don't have to do that. It didn't ask us to solve it. Alright, we are now on resource 9 of 13, and this is a problem for you. You're going to use your direct variation equation. You're going to use the big kid math like I taught you, and you're going to isolate your variable. When you get done isolating your variable, you're going to find out how much 1 hour of tutoring is going to cost, and you're going to plug that answer in and check it. Pause the video while you do that. Did you do it? Let's see if your work looks like my work. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to write our direct variation equation. We call this writing the formula, and so I'm going to have y is equal to kx. That's my formula. That's your first step. From here, the next thing we're going to do is plug in what we know. We know that she earns $28.50, keeping our units in there. Our constant of variation is what we're looking for, and we know that she works for 3 hours. Now what do? We isolate our variable. What's our variable? It's k. Who's k's friend? 3. What's 3 doing to k? It's multiplying. What's the inverse operation of times 3? It's going to be divide by 3 on both sides of the equal sign. The 3 divided by 3 becomes a 1. 1 times k is k. And when you plug it in over here, let's go ahead and do our grunt work on this. 28.5 divided by 3. 3 goes into 28 9 times, which is 27. With 1 left over, the decimal goes up, the 5 comes down. 9 goes into 15 5 times, which is going to be 15 with nothing left over. So my k value is $9.50 right there. What are we going to put in there for our equation? We're going to rewrite it as where we had y is equal to kx. It is now going to be y is equal to $9.50 times x, or 9.5 times x, but we're dealing with money, so it's going to be 9.50. This is what showing your work looks like. This is what I must see. If I see anything else, you're doing it just for fun, folks. We're big kids. We've got to start using big kid algebraic math, and this is what it looks like. So now we're going to come back over here. We're going to put in our 9.5. I'm going to go ahead and put 9.50 since we're dealing with money. Check it, and it said that we are indeed correct with our answer. The perimeter of a square is proportional to the length of one side. A square with 10-inch sides has a perimeter of 40 inches. Write an equation relating the perimeter of the square to its side length. Then find the perimeter of a square with a 6-inch side length. By the way, have you noticed it got quieter? That's because Mom got tired of the cat and threw her outside. Bad Mom. Now, what do you need to find before you can write the equation? You need to find your constant of proportionality. Okay? So, we're going to take and pause the recording for just a second while I set this up. So, for part A, we're going to start off by writing the equation. We're going to recognize the fact that the perimeter, oh, we lost our problem here, is 4 times the length of the side of the square. So the equation y equals 4x is what we're going to use. Now, they've given us this strange little thing here of a proportion setup. Perimeter is the side length, is 40 is to 10. When we move through that, that means that if you were to take and divide top and bottom by 10, what would you end up putting there? You'd end up putting a 4 there. But we're going to show you the proper way of doing this in just a second. Check that. It did check. And now you'd say the constant of proportionality is 4. This is all nice. This isn't going to cut it for me. I need to see your big kid math. So what I'm going to expect to see is going to be something that looks an awful lot like this. You're going to start off with your y equals kx formula. You're going to acknowledge that the perimeter is equal to 4, is equal to 40 times your constant of variation, which they gave us in, hold on. I'm sorry, I spoke that wrong. Your perimeter is going to be 40, and that equals your constant variation times the side length. From there, we're going to take and divide both sides by 10 to isolate that variable. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 1 times k is k equals 40 divided by 10 is 4. By the way, how many sides does a square have? A square has 4 sides. Therefore, going back to your original equation, our direct variation equation for the perimeter of a square is y is equal to 4 times x. That is the proper way of showing your supporting work. This information, it doesn't work for me. If it asks what is the concept of proportionality, your answer is right there. It is 4. And all of this right here is the supporting work that justifies why that answer is 4. You've got to give me your big kid math. So, let's move forward. Part B of the problem said to use the equation to find the perimeter of a square with side lengths of 6 inches. So I'm going to go back to where I had my work going here. I'd created the equation y is equal to 4x, and now I can change that x to equal to 6 inches. Therefore, 4 times 6 inches is equal to 24 inches. Y is equal to 24 inches. That is my answer. And this is the supporting work. You have to give me good quality supporting work if you want full credit. So I'm going to come back over here. The equation we're going to have is y is equal to 4 times x. We replace the x with a 6, and that ended up giving us y is equal to 24 for our final answer. Check it. Everything checked perfect. Suppose you know the perimeter of a square is 52 inches. Explain how you could use the equation y equals 4x to find the length of a side and then find the length of that side. So I'm going to take and we're going to go to a clean sheet here, Control A and delete, and we're going to write our equation again. Y is equal to kx, where we know the perimeter is going to be 52. We know our constant of variation is going to be 4, and now we want to know what a side length is. What are we going to do? We're going to isolate our variable again. The variable is x this time. His friend is 4. What is 4 doing to x? He's multiplying. Anytime you have a number next to a variable with nothing between it, that's multiplication. What is the opposite of times 4? Well, that is going to be divided by 4, which we're going to do on both sides to keep our equation balanced. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times x is x. 52 divided by 4, that is going to be 13, I believe. Let's see, that's 10, 12, yep, 13. So the length of each side would end up being 13, I believe it is inches. Yep, 13 inches would be our final answer for that one. We are closing in on it. We are on resource 11 out of 13. Cindy paid $34.60 for 4 tickets for a movie. They want you to write an equation relating the number of tickets, the cost of number of tickets, and then use that equation to find the cost of 7 tickets. You pause the video and you do this. Make sure you're using the big kid algebraic math I've been showing you. If you don't remember, go back and look at your notes or look earlier in the video to make sure you're showing your work the right way. Did you do it? Let's see what it should have looked like. First thing you're going to do is you're going to write your equation that says y is equal to kx, your direct variation equation. Then you're going to plug in what you know. You know the total cost y is $34.60. You know that she bought 4 movie tickets. Now we're going to isolate our variable by dividing by 4 on both sides, here and here. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times k is k. And now we're going to come over here to way off to the side to do our grunt work so it's separated from our problem, keeping our work paper neat and clean this way. 4 goes into 34 8 times. 8 times 4 is 32. 2 left over. Your decimal goes up. Your 6 goes down. 4 goes into 26 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24 with 2 left over. Bring down your 0. 4 goes into 25 times. 5 times 4 is 20 with nothing left over. So our constant of variation is going to be $8.65, and we will write that in right here. 8.65 is what you put in that answer. And then for part B of our problem, it wanted to know how much will 7 tickets cost? So we're going to go back to our original equation, y equals kx, but now we're going to take and put in the $8.65 for our k value, and that gives us the new formula we're working with, and then we're going to change our x to equal to 7. So now I have $8.65 times 7. I'm going to come off to the side again to do my grunt work. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 6 is 42, plus a 3 from the 35 is going to give us 45. And then 7 times 7 times 8, that one always gets me. It's going to be 56, plus the 4 from the 45 is going to be 60. Bounce, 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 bounce. The final answer is going to be $60.55. So let's plug them in and check them, see if Mr. Reese did good math. First answer is going to be, what did we come up with? $8.65. Check it, and that one checked good. And then for part B, $60.55. Check that answer. That one checked. And while it's really, really nice that all those check perfectly, what is more nice is the fact I have good supporting work. I have to see all of this. Okay? That's our big kid math. That's showing our work. That is what I must see if you want to have credit for doing this problem. I really wanted to get this one done in 2 videos, but it's not going to happen. So we're going to stop here, and we're going to come back and solve part 3. Only two resources left. One of them is the one that all of us love so much, the apply section. Come back and watch part 3.